Inversion of control is one of the core principles on which Spring Framework was built. Let's try to understand what is this inversion of control. Inversion of control is a software design principle or a guideline or a standard that defines on how objects are going to be created and managed in a program. If we talk from core Java perspective, usually inside the programs that we write with the help of core Java alone, how do we create objects? We create by ourselves. The programmers itself, they're going to create the objects with the help of new operator. For example, if I'm looking to create an object of person, I'm going to write with my own hands saying that person P is equal to new person. With this line of code, what is going to happen? A new person object is going to be created. With this approach, the programmer or the developer himself or herself is responsible to create the object. But this inversion of control, what it recommends is the developer should never create the dependencies and their objects by themselves. Instead, they should give the responsibility to the framework or any other service or component that is going to take care of creating the objects and managing the dependencies. Since it is recommending to give the control from the developer to the framework, this name came, which is inversion of control. The control is getting inverted. In short form, we call this as IoC. IoC is not specific to Spring Framework. IoC is a in general design principle that is being followed by many frameworks and languages inside the industry. Spring also built on top of this inversion of control. When we try to build the applications with the help of Spring Framework, Spring is going to manage all the objects creation and dependencies automatically. With that, what is the advantage that we're going to get? It is going to reduce the manual coding and make applications more flexible. In the next lecture, I'm going to show you a demo on how this inversion of control is going to make our applications better. For now, I'm assuming you are clear about the definition of inversion of control. After the inversion of control, the next principle that Spring leverages is dependency injection. I said inversion of control is just a design principle. It just gives standards and guidelines that needs to be followed by a framework or by a language. To implement that design principle or to achieve that IoC principle inside an application or inside an framework, this dependency injection design pattern is going to be used. I also highlighted here dependency injection is a design pattern used to implement the inversion of control. In simple words, we can say IoC is like an interface. It just declares the contract or the guidelines that we need to follow, whereas dependency injection is like a class which implements this interface. With the dependency injection, what is going to happen is the frameworks like Spring, they are going to understand what are the dependencies that a particular class has inside a web application. All these dependencies objects will be created dynamically during the runtime and will be injected to the dependent classes. That's why this name dependency injection came. Dependency injection is a way of providing dependencies to a class instead of creating them inside the class. Usually, if you try to build a program with a plain core Java, all the required dependencies will be created within the class by the developer. But with the dependency injection and IoC, it's not going to work that way. The framework will create the objects and inject them as dependencies into the class. With this, what advantage we are getting? Inside the class, we are never going to create the objects and we are never going to write the code related to the dependencies. Everything is going to be handled by an external entity like Spring Framework, and this is going to help in bringing loose coupling between the objects. I'll talk more details about what is loose coupling when I show you a demo inside the next lecture. I hope you're clear about these two important core concepts. I know you may have too many questions. Why should we follow these core concepts? What are the advantages that we get? All those details will be explained to you in the coming lectures. In fact, when I show you a demo in the next lecture, it will be very clear for you.